G'day legends, welcome back to the YouTube channel. My name is Ryan Gilchrist and today we are going to be doing a bike check. We're going to be looking at my 2021 Enduro race rig. It is right behind me. It's a beautiful thing. We've got mics set up, we've got camera 1, camera 2. Let's get straight into it. So to begin with, the frame for my 2021 race rig is a GT Force 2021 Pro Edition. So firstly, a disclaimer, if you buy a bike stock from GT, it is not going to come looking like this. This is pretty much an entirely custom build, so have that in mind as we go through. The GT Force that I'm riding on at the moment is aluminium from top to bottom. I am a big fan of aluminium bikes. They feel really nice to ride. They're a little bit heavier, but I find that I am a bit of a shocker for smashing bikes, so I have no problem with running a little bit of extra weight if it means I'm going to have a little bit of added security. It is a beautiful bike covered in so much orange and black. The whole thing is completely color coordinated top to bottom, which is something I've never really had to do in the past. Usually I'm like trying to make my bike run on a budget, but this bike is completely no compromises, as good as I could make it, and of course I got to color coordinate it as I do. Next order of business is suspension. 2021 I am running EXT Suspension. Thank you Chris for the jersey, and more importantly thank you very much for the suspension. In the rear we've got a Storia V3, so that's their 3rd generation coil shock. This thing is absolutely mind-blowing. I've never actually ridden a coil shock, so riding this for the first time kind of blew my socks off a little bit. Just the amount of progression in the shock and the small bump sensitivity was kind of mind-boggling, and especially coming from a completely untuned stock shock that I was on before to a completely custom shock that Chris set up for me. It was just night and day. I found that it was really supple through fast, bumpy stuff, and then as soon as I get it out and open, there'd be a really solid ramp and I'd never be bottoming it out. I am running that rear shock at 150 millimeters. The fork up front is the 1st generation EXT era fork. It was actually featured in Pink Bike's Fork of the Year and came runner-up, so that's pretty incredible. It kind of speaks for how awesome this fork is. It's a dual chamber fork, which means that the start of the stroke is super supple and the top of the stroke can be ramped up super hard. So this fork is pretty much capable of running through any terrain you put it through. I'm running 170 millimeters on the front, which is 10 millimeters bigger than before. So having a slacker head angle and having a little bit more suspension up front makes the bike a little bit more forgiving. Wheels, this year I am running Spank Vibracore 359s front and back. I love the 359, it's a little bit stronger than the 350, and I do find that while I'm racing in high pressure situations, I want my wheels to survive. So that's another trade-off. I'm trading off a bit of weight to get an even stronger wheel. I've never had any problems with these wheels. They're absolutely bomb-proof. In the rear, I'm running the new Spank Hex Drive hub, which has 103 points of engagement. So you're getting a super fast engagement while also having a pretty cool hub sound while you're riding. I'm not always a sucker for the hub sound, but I do love good engagement. And when your hub has good engagement, doesn't weigh too much, and isn't too expensive, you're ticking all the boxes and you're winning in my books. Other Spank products on the bike, we've got a Spank cockpit, same as last year. We got the Spank handlebars on top. I am running my handlebars at a width of 750. Find a lot of enduro riders are starting to get their bars a little bit smaller. I've been doing it for a while and I swear by it, especially up in my local spots. A lot of the tracks are very tight and very twisty, so I don't want to have big 800mm bike park bars. Spank split stem in the middle and a Spank seat. Not a lot's changing there, love it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So thank you Spank, and thank you Link Sports for setting me up with that. 2021, I am running Pirelli Scorpion tires. Big thanks to FE Sports for sorting that out. I'm super stoked with these tires. I'm running the Enduro S up front, which is a little bit of a taller profile, and the Enduro R out the back. 2.4 front and back. There's a 2.6, which is a little bit bigger, but I haven't had any need for it so far. Super soft compound. Pirelli doesn't actually tell you the durometer of their tires. They have like this secret smart grip formula, which is pretty smart and pretty grippy. So, I mean, it's doing its job and I'm really loving it. I have been absolutely abusing these tires all year and I've had very few problems, especially in Medina. I raced for 2 weeks in what are arguably some of the gnarliest tracks in Australia. No problems at all. I love these tires. I'm going to be doing a full review on them later if you're keen for that. Brakes. Just like last year, I'm running Maguras. I'm running MT7 Pros front and back. I'm running the MDRP rotors, which are those dovetail ones with the silver and black parts on it. They look super cool and they also increase your brake performance by 10%. So, I mean, It's kind of hard to lose there. I'm running the new HCW levers, which are an additional upgrade you can get to your MT7 Pros. It's like a wider platform lever, and I mean, I just seem to like it a bit more. I've tried both and I like this one more. So thank you, Andrew at Magura, for that. Really appreciate it. Because this is an enduro bike, I have it fully set up with a full repair system. I'll just grab it out. In the stem, we've got a little multi-tool. This thing saved me so many times, and every time I go for a ride, people are always asking me for the multi-tool. Don't know if that's a blessing or a curse, but it's good whenever I'm out on a big day and need a bailout. I have integrated systems in my handlebars that have tire plugs and chain breaker tools. Super cool, really great to have them on your bike. I've never actually needed to use the tire plug or the chain breaker, but having them there is a little bit of peace of mind for if I'm going to be racing like an EWS. Oh, and if you're wondering, all of the tools that are in my stem and cockpit are by Granite Design, and that is done through Link Sports. Thank you, Link Sports. I have the ability to put a CO2 on one side, a pump on the other, and a big tire tube with tire levers underneath it, so my bike is fully kitted out. Drivetrain is completely stock. I got a Shimano EXT drivetrain, top to bottom, and I have SLX on my spare wheel. Nothing too fancy, gets the job done. This morning, I put up something on my story asking you guys to send me questions regarding the 2021 Enduro bike. So without further ado, let's get straight into those. From Max Stokes 06, favorite pedals to run. Pedals, people ask me a lot about pedals. I'm running Shimano XT pedals. I've run them for like 5 years, even back when I raced BMX, and I haven't really been brave enough to try anything else because they just work so well. Luke Bowles and Jeswa Beats are both asking how much my bike weighs, and for good reason. This bike is an absolute machine. So first thing I should say is that the weight of the bike isn't the most important thing to me. What matters to me is that the components are good and that the weight is in the right places, so I don't have heavy rotating mass and I don't have really unnecessary bulk on the bike. That being said, this is how much the bike weighs. I know to some people that might be extremely scary, but before you judge, just consider what your bike is for. My enduro bike is made to withstand the gnarliest tracks in Australia, and I don't really want to have this thing snapping on me. So if you want to learn a little bit more about how important weight is, definitely go watch a video by Nico Malali. It's in the link in my description. Next question from Off-Road Touring Australia. How is it compared to the old Shredder? Seem to be riding on it well. Thank you, Jake. This bike is an absolute beast. I'd say my favorite thing about this bike is how confident it makes me feel. And if you're feeling confident on your bike, you're feeling fast on the bike. So I couldn't be happier. Good question here from BT Fish. Hey Ryan, suspension tune. Do you tune it yourself? Do you use a shock whiz? Do you have a tuner? Okay, 3 questions there. I haven't answered every single one. The first one, do you tune it yourself? Yes. I reckon the best way to do it is probably find your local track. For me, it's Karamba, the downhill track. I'll do a run, I'll notice anything. Maybe I'll go, it needs to be a bit faster, a bit slower. Notice where your baseline is, but make some small changes. Go to the next run and see if it feels better or worse, and then you can either change it more or change it back. I actually like having a set and forget setting. So some people, when they go from one race to the next, they will change their setup completely. I will only do that if it's like a drastic difference, like I'm going from a flat track to a downhill track, but I don't really seem to have too many problems with the setup I have going at the moment. Next part of that question, do you use a shock whiz? Shock whiz and other pressure-based systems are really good for finding out where your baseline is. For me, it wouldn't work too great. 1, because I have a coil in the back, and 2, because my front system is a dual air system, so it wouldn't really help me too much. I've heard that the bee's knees, but I don't think I really need to. And 3, do you have a tuner? Yes, I do have a tuner. Chris from EXT is an absolute legend, and whenever I'm up in Queensland, he will get my bike running absolutely prime. At @OllieMoran_ asks, what is its top speed? 3 times 10 to the 8 meters per second. At Luke_MS_1 asks, does it horse the dog? It most definitely does horse the dog, Luke. That concludes our Q&A section. If you want to be a part of more Q&As in the future, find my Instagram. I'll be doing polls on there occasionally. That's the end of the video. Thanks for watching. See you next time.